Hey guys, it's Perseus Hamilton back at you with a new background actually. I realized I didn't have to be in my tiny room, which is very hot this time of year. It's about 4 million degrees approximately. And at this angle you can meet... You can meet my dogs. Pip, say hi. And then Benny, you may remember them from the trailer. Sorry if the imaging is shaky. I'm using a phone as my camera, by the way, if you haven't figured that out yet by the bad audio and video quality. So today, I was going to talk about 5 ways to improve your writing almost overnight. If you didn't know, I actually write a lot. I read a lot too. I read published books, self-published books, books online like on Wattpad, anything pretty much. Especially when reading books, self-published or Wattpad books, I notice a lot of things that people do that bother me personally and that just make your writing look unprofessional. Just not good in general. They make it disengaging and just obvious things that are wrong. Writing takes practice. I'm just gonna say that now. You can't just sit down and write perfectly your first day. I know that I have been working on writing since I was like 6 or 7. I've been writing. And even now, 14 years later, I still have a lot to learn. So this video will be illustrating some of the things that I've learned and how to fix them. My chicken's really having a good time clucking out there. I'm gonna wait till they quiet down. I know that chicken is Peggy because she sounds like a goose, even though she's a chicken. Alright, so now that the chickens seem to have quieted down, let's move on to the writing tips, finally. The first one I'm going to talk about is knowing your audience. Knowing your audience is something that I think a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to writing and learning how to write. Knowing your audience is having a genre that you're writing in, and then writing for the people that would be reading that genre. For instance, an 11-year-old isn't going to be reading 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, I hope not. A grown man probably isn't going to be excitedly reading Divergent or Winnie the Pooh. Those were just 2 totally different books I decided to compare. When you're writing a book, the bottom line is you have to know who you're writing it for. Is it adults? Is it kids? Is it fantasy lovers? Is it hardcore fans if you're writing fan fiction? And then you have to cater to that audience. You know, for instance, if you're writing a child's book, you're not going to put in graphic violence or mature scenes or lots of cussing. And if you're writing a book for adults, the climax of the story isn't going to be, did I get invited to Elsie's birthday party? If you're writing for adults, there's going to be real problems. And if you're writing for kids, tone it down a bit to make it understandable for kids. And if you're writing fan fiction, you better know about that fandom or else you're gonna get beat up. Number 2 would be don't show off. This kind of treads a thin line for a lot of writers and readers. There's a difference between using good grammar and using the right choice of words and using sophisticated words and then being pretentious. A good example of being pretentious would be fantasy names that are 8 inches long, or if you're using incredibly obscure adjectives and things like that in your writing. An example of pretentious writing would be something like, Alex ran across the field, her mind lost in the recesses of her dark thoughts and imaginations. It sounds kind of good poetically, it sounds poetic, but it's a little bit pretentious and it's a little bit annoying. It shows you that the writer isn't really trying to write real and write a story. They're trying to be show-offy with their word choices and they're trying to show how much classics they read or if they've read the dictionary, and that's not the point of writing. So please try to avoid being showy with your word choice because it's annoying, but at the same time, be wary because no one likes bad grammar either. Number 3 is don't write massive paragraphs. I see this with online writers a lot more than anything else. You know, if you're scrolling through something on Wattpad or AO3 and you're looking at it and it's just a block of text that you have to scroll through for like minutes, that's annoying. Also, it just makes it all seem like a big run-on sentence. You know, it feels almost like it's just this one long thought and the reader doesn't have any breaks to think about what's been said or to ponder what's happening. They're just kind of like being taken on in this never-ending paragraph train that is however many feet long. It's annoying. I'll just say that. A good way to try to fix this would be to imagine your book, each scene in your book, as a scene in a movie. And imagine that every time the camera switches to a different character or a different viewpoint, you change paragraphs. So kind of try to see it visually. The other thing you can do is read a lot and see where they break their paragraphs and how they make it smooth and how they make it flow. And if you're trying to find advice with that, I'd suggest reading published books because their paragraphs will have been monitored. So just check that out, and if your paragraphs are too long, just break them up. Use active language would be number 4. A lot of the time I hear people going, what's the difference between active and passive language? Like, aren't they both the same? What's the real difference? And why is active so much better than passive? Let me put it to you like this. A sentence in active voice would be like, the chicken is scratching the dirt. That's active. A sentence in passive voice would be like, the dirt is being scratched by the chicken. And the difference between these is, well, number one, passive is longer, it kind of misses the point, and active is just straight to the point, you know what's going on. The chicken's scratching the dirt. Grammatically, the difference between them would be that the active voice focuses on what the subject is doing, and the passive voice focuses on what is being done to the recipient of the subject. I hope that makes sense. Number 5, this is going to be a short video actually. Number 5, I would say, is just write. A lot of the times people get hung up on their writing. I did. I never got even halfway through a first draft in years and years and years because I was so concerned about, is this scene all right? Is this character developing well? Is this dialogue realistic? And I was going through the first draft trying to edit like it was the final draft. And that doesn't work. It just sucks out all your inspiration, and then by page 10 or 11, you're like, okay, I'm done. I don't know what else to write in this story, and that's not how you want it to be. So when you're writing your first draft, just write. Don't worry about structure, don't worry about how long the story's gonna be, don't worry about how short it's gonna be, don't worry about how your characters look, don't worry about the language in your fantasy world, don't worry about the technicalities yet. Just write out your story in the first draft, finish it, give it a break, wait a week or so, and then look back at it with fresh eyes. That should work out a lot better. I know it's worked out a lot better for... Anyway, guys, that is essentially my top 5 tips for improving your writing quickly. And I know this is a short video, this is probably only going to be about 5 minutes, but I hope you enjoyed it, and since it's short, I might actually upload something else today for the 2 people that watch these videos. I honestly don't get many people watching these. They're fun for me to make, and so, you know, maybe someday people will watch them. Anyway, have a great day, and I will be back at you later. Bye!